Honorable sisters, brothers, and friends, I'm just beginning this video to try to obtain the video in the channel I want and how I want it, and where I could edit the video, because it's absolutely proven now, but then you'd have to take them to a court of law, which in this country, if the criminally insane Hoovers don't want you to win, all you do is spending your time and money, and they have control of the court, especially if it's in a federal court. So, after reviewing and analyzing, again, the past week of what has occurred, is absolutely do it and say, yeah, we commit crimes, we're criminally insane, Homo Hooverus, we commit crimes, and that's what we do and we're going to keep doing. They are hopelessly criminally insane, Hooveristic, King George, Queen Hoover hypocrites. So this country has degenerated into a King George, Queen Hoover hypocrisy. Democracy is just a cover-up word. It's just like them saying, God bless America. Well, yeah, sure, that'd be good. But God is going to take and say, well, now let's see, I'm going to bless America, but not bless another country, because those criminally insane Hooverists that are experimenting on people to death, experiment on his brother, men, women, and children, that absolutely, they say, yeah, what can you do about it? And we keep doing it. We keep experimenting, doing what we want to. Keep interfering with trying to make videos to expose them. Just, yeah, wait, here, you come to us, and when you get done, you're worse off than when you walked in, because now you got to try to figure out what we did to get back to where you were. They're just hopelessly, criminally insane, Homo Hooverus, King George, Queen Hoover, evil fellas, that Homo Hoover. And they got a building with the fella's queer's name on it, and a museum that entice young boys to go in there to idolize that pedophile. That's what it is. There are weirdo, sicko, hopelessly, criminally insane King George, Queen Hoover, Homo Hooverus. Hypocrites. King George, Queen Hoover. Hypocrisy. They figure they've got spending a lot of money and getting where they can go and hit little countries and take and build them. You know, where they go into other countries, and what the Zionists saying, yeah, you kill the Arabs, get them to have civil wars and fight between themselves while we get more power and control. This is the big, but at the same time, they say that they're going to bring them democracy. They shot the president to take over, they rigged their candidates, they rigged the election, and they're going to go over and they smash the country because they're going to get that country our democracy. That country don't want them there. And those countries are a theocracy besides. They have their country by their religion. And we say, well, the Zionists say, well, no, the Arabs are not human. In fact, according to the Zionists, the only ones that are really any good are those who are Zionists and will have what the Zionists want to do. All others are outsiders and not as good. This is what it really is. And I went and analyzed over and over again and came to the absolute conclusion they are hopelessly weird, sicko Homo Hooveris that actually defy God, God's laws, humanity, the Constitution of rights, the rights of by God and man, the Constitution, the Bill of Rights, civil rights. They're going to do what they want to do. And they say it's based on the fact that might is right. They've got the might, so they're going to say they're right in a certain country unless they get beat. And might is right, and you go into Iraq. Wow, they went into Iraq because the Zionists wanted them to, and because they go in there and get oil, and go in there and it's a desert, and they can have all their equipment, which operates the best in desert conditions, and smash that little country. And they went in there not only with the U.S., but other countries, all against that one little country. Pardon. And they go into Afghanistan because the fella did wrong, yeah. But he told them for at least a year, I'm going to bomb you because you're giving the Zionists the money, the planes, the tanks, the guns and everything to kill all us here. Bomb us, are killing our women and children and everybody here. Yeah, it's if you don't give them that, they couldn't do it. So we're going to hit you. And it was known, and they ran around the country, and it was known, but they wanted like a Pearl Harbor so they can go in there now and say, look. And then they even fixed the reports about weapons of mass destruction. It was proven they lied and fixed that. So they, and then that coward of Vietnam wanted to show what a big army man he was after being a coward of Vietnam. And he says, I got my troops there now. If I don't use them, I'll lose them. What a hypocritical lie. You got the troops there, you pull them back out before they get killed and kill people there. He goes in there and he kills our men and women now and all those people are still doing it. Still doing it. And the Zionists have way more land than they ever had in their 12 tribes. That was done to split the Arabs. Their idea is, like the U.S. came here, they came here and they took over, and the Indians don't own anything anymore. They just took it over. And the Indians now are in a little reservation and they have to ask for handouts. And the Zionists say, well, we got to do that to the Arabs. We go in there and smash all the Arabs because they're not human. Of all countries to say you got to genocide people well, there's Jews, but the Zionists run the country. The Jews are a religion. The Zionists is their political philosophy and what they do and their nationalism. And it's worse than the Nazis because the Nazis said they are super race. The Zionists say that they are the chosen people. Well, who chose them? They did themselves. They say they're the chosen people. When Christ come here, he says, when you come out between the people won't accept you. So they're the worst. The other ones are accepting me, the Christians. And they shouted to kill them, and they killed them. Isn't that the true facts? I mean, they shouted to crucify Christ. And that's why they crucified him. Christ didn't nail himself to the cross. They asked him who he was, and he says, you said it, that he is the Son of God. And he said, well, we can't have others that are not of what they want to do there in those 12 tribes. So, yeah, all right, if they believe in their religion, they have their 12 tribes, not that they have all that land. Israel wasn't all that land. In fact, they came from Egypt. It was the indigenous Arabs that still lived there were the original ones when the Jews moved there after they left Egypt. And they say, well, we own this now. They should go to the Sinai in Egypt. No, the Jews should go back to Egypt, and it's where they came from, or at least in the Sinai. Isn't that the true fact? The USA is a King George Queen Hoover hypocrisy. And they have experimented my brother to death and others, men, women, and children. And I've actually seen the results of some of them. And they still say, yeah, this is the way we do it. We control. We control here, and we're going to control all we can. Well, that's evil. That defies the law of God and humanity, and the rights through the law of God. And if you don't believe in God, the rights of humanity, at least, and the rights of the Constitution, the Bill of Rights, and civil rights. The only thing is that they print a lot of money, and they keep raising our standing of living. The people there say, yeah, that's what I want. Sure, that's what you want, but you don't want to lie and go to war so you can print this money and say, well, we got to print this money, we got to go to war, because then you get all this money, you're rich, you're going to war, but who goes and fight are the poor people. The people who the sons and daughters don't have money to go to college. The working people, the working people do most of the work, and their families have to have their sons and daughters go into the service and then go over there or wherever they're sent and fight and get killed. And meanwhile, they make tremendous money that they print because they had to go to war. The joke, what a cruel joke, the joke about, well, they sell the army a toilet, and they sell it for $350. You can buy the same toilet for $100 or $150 in the U.S. Why? They just soak them all the money, and all the rackets. The plane comes in with all the money to pay the troops that month, put it on the truck disappears. Where's the truck? They don't know. They got all kinds of rackets going. They fly another plane in, just print the money, fly another plane in. Why don't they print the money and keep the people working with their homes? Because they got to have the people down there all struggling to try to get a job, competition between themselves to try to get a job, try to do this. They all struggle, and they can then say, yeah, look, okay, the ones who aren't working, you go in the army, we'll offer you money, go in the army. Why? Well, you go in the army, it's good for you, and you, well, yeah, sure. You go in the army, and then they get killed. Well, the bankers, they need money, they print the money and bail them out. Isn't that what they're doing? That they took a home from me, and I had the money to keep making the payments, but no, they wanted me out. Why? Because they passed a law that a new owner, the loan is guaranteed. So even though it's my home and I fixed it and I want to keep it, no, they're going to say that I can't have that home because I don't have every payment. I said, well, all right. All right, then what? The home went up for sale. And I could buy it back cheaper than I owed them. I says, don't put it up for sale. I now can pay you the payments now, except for the fines that you've raised so high. I can make the payments, which would be higher than if you sell it, and I can pay you for the full contract while you're offering it for at least $100,000 less. No. They gave me money to move out. They says, look, you're not going to, you're giving you money to move out. Well, I can't keep the home. I said, all right. I lose the home. But when I move out now, if they get a new owner, the government guarantees that loan. And that could be a racket. They get the new owner in there. The new owner can't pay. They kick him out. They get the money from the guaranteed loan and sell it to another owner. Yeah. Well, they got one guy that did that 5 times in 1 year at one home. So they said, hey, you're violating the law, or the letter of the law, give them a bad time. But how many of them did they catch and stop? Because that's what the banks are doing. They don't care. Well, look, I was a veteran. I'm injured. I'm a veteran. I'm injured. I need a home. Don't mean nothing. They got that money. You understand? You get veterans come in now, and they're in hospitals, and they're in bad shape. They're giving them less and less money. Why? Don't have money. It's costing us so much money. Well, it costs money to help the people, but to help the bankers, hey, they take and print not millions, billions. Then the banker, the first banker, I think got $365 billion. And he was the man that was the CEO of who they gave the $365 billion to before he took and had our Federal Reserve. Our Federal Reserve is called federal, but it's not part of federal government. It's a private setup that we print the money and then give it to the Federal Reserve, who then handles our money because they're supposed to be honest and keep it out of politics. Well, who does the Federal Reserve? It's the previous CEO of the big bank that they lost the money and caused the hardship of Wall Street and the economy. They take and give them the billions of dollars so they don't go bankrupt. Well, all right, they got all these $1 billion. All right, now they keep functioning, keep losing more money. The economy is still not good. And what about the people with the economy not good, losing their job? Banks take the home from them. Well, they'll put it up for auction. Put it up for auction. All right, you buy it. You got to have the money. You buy it in auction. Then the bank gets a new owner. They get going guaranteed. Well, all right. So they can do that 5 times. Like I said, somebody did that 5 times in 1 year, and they know that's well. But that's what the banks want. You got homes empty. People, bums on the, not bums, you got people living on the street, got no place to live. Got millions of homes, thousands of homes empty. Why not take all of these homes and have people who can afford them, own them, have the economy better, where they can own them, and then have the poor homes they move out of, which are good, for the homeless, and give them a no down payment home, give them a job. Wow. If you do that, why would they want to then say, well, I'll go into the service? Or say, well, I hope my son or daughter don't get killed, but they got no job, and they say they want to go into service. They go into service without even telling us. They just go into service, take the chance. It's what? A King George, Queen Hoover hypocrisy. And I've tried everything I can do. I gave up all my science and inventions, and billions of dollars, not millions, billions of dollars, fame and all that. Could have maybe won even a high position in politics. No, they don't want an honest man in there that would do that. They want this by the control of those at the banking, and the banking more and more is now, I'll bet you if you give them a lie detector test, that at least 999 out of 1,000 who say that practice a Jewish religion say Israel first, then the U.S. or anybody else. So they got them running their more and more power of owning things in the banking business. You have here where the Zionists are saying we will handle things, and you keep sending your sons and daughters now to kill these bad, inhuman Arabs. And if it came to where they would dump the U.S. in order to keep their Israel, they'll do that after we helped them build them and all that, and went to war for them and all that. That's the situation. We have in here criminally insane Homo Hoovers that say this is what we're doing, the policy, and might is right. They got the might here because they can rig the candidates in the election so they can have control. And they print the money and they give the money to the Federal Reserve, who's picked as from a CEO of a big banking company. And the second one they picked after the first one of $365 billion, he got $330 billion. And people saying, well, that ain't right. Look, they're giving all that money into another bank. And he says, hey, don't complain. He says, I'm a good man. Why? Well, his place went bankrupt. He says, I saved you 30. He said $30 billion. Actually 35, I think. But I saved you $30 billion. What a deal. The one that was the biggest bankrupt that was running our Federal Reserve gets that $365 billion bailout. The next one is the CEO from the next bailout. There's only $330 billion. So he says he's doing the American people a favor by saving them $30 billion. You give the American people the $365 billion and $330 billion and help them, they can help keep their homes. You can take and pay off their homes, let alone that they would make the payments, got to make the payments as long as they kept working. No, you got all the money, and you take and use the money, and a lot of that goes directly and under the table to the Zionist-controlled Israel. And they can then say that they're making war, but now they don't even have to do that. Now they can just bomb when they want, and the U.S. is sending the soldiers to get killed. And the main reason is the U.S. wants to surround Russia and China. They say they're doing that for bringing them democracy, and they got it right, and they fix the reports. The main reason is they're following expert advice that there was no way they can go from west to east. Everybody's tried it, is lost. Maybe the only way is from south to north. So they're getting all the bases they can down around the south. They're surrounding China, Russia and China. Well, if you don't surround them, they won't get so edgy. Because as far as I know, they haven't attacked the U.S. They don't come down here and say like South America with troops and take over a country to give them their democracy. Yet we go to their neighbor. Actually, a neighbor touches their land. We go to their neighbor, like the Ukrainians. Ukrainians were part of Russia. Ukrainians is like our deep south. We go in there and we tell them, let's be your friends. Why? We'll give you this, that, and the other thing. We put our equipment here against Russia. If somebody, Russia or China or somebody, said we'll do that with, say, like with Canada. Well, Canada's owned by England, but if they said we do that with Canada, we would say, hey, that's war. You can't come anywhere in the North to South America. Yet we're over there on their border more and more. Why? Might is right. We're going to control, like Patton says, it's obvious the English-speaking people are going to control the world. Well, the Zionists say, yeah, you send your sons and daughters and all the quantity and power and all that, but we are the smart ones and we control the banking and maybe the companies that make the war equipment more and more. Well, you have here a situation where right is might on the people, and especially if somebody says, hey, I think I could help this country. No. They've got everything in mind and say I'm nobody and they'll keep me anonymous. And then the one from Iraq, he said that they said, well, we're going to have to need $6 billion to help Iraq. He jumped up and he got to the microphone and interrupted. He says, in his broken English, he says, if you give me the $6 billion, I can hire just about anybody in Iraq and we'll fix the country ourselves. You just leave. No more killing. You just leave. They pushed him. They pushed him and pushed him back into the chair. And they kept saying, well, we need... He tried to get up and say, well, look, they pushed him and held him. You can't say a word. Why? They want the war. The Zionists want the war. The U.S. wants the war. English want the war. They want the war. They got an excuse to print the money, go over there and kill these Arabs and take their oil. That's what it is. That's what it is. Criminally insane. Homo, Hoover. Hypocrisy. King George, Queen Hoover, hypocrisy. Well, that's the true facts. King George, Queen Hoover, hypocrisy.